Yo, you know what it is, hyper Thursday, so it's time for another tutorial. But before I get into that, before I get anywhere involved in the skills and the item guide and the setup for this particular hyper, or even say the name of the hyper I'm talking about, I gotta do a community shout out for your boy. Alright, so I was a little troubled when I started working on this signal guide, you know what I mean, trying to learn the ins and outs of the hyper, because I'm human, I make error like everybody else. I asked, and the community responded. Your boy Hong China, in-game, H-O-N-G, China, helped me out with this on the items, what Signal kinda does, and I gotta give mad props to him. You see him in the Discord, it's D/C China. Give him a good yo-ho-ho for me. A Y-O-H-O-H-O. You see him in game, yo-ho-ho at your boy. I appreciate you, Hong, and this couldn't have been done without you, my bro. There's actually going to be another community shout out on the next guide I do. If I ever get help from you guys, if I ever ask y'all a question, y'all help me out, you better believe I'm going to give the love back. Love everyone in the hyper community. Y'all stay hype, y'all stay up. Let's make this thing grow. Alright, now here's the tutorial, homies. We're talking about Signal, okay? That's the hyper. This little bad boy here, this little striker. As I always do, let's get this level boosted to the max. I'm sorry, I'm a little excited because you know we got rank coming out soon, so hey now, that's gonna be fantastic. Will I do great? Probably not. Will I do okay? No, but it's gonna be fun. So let's look at Signal real quick. What is this? His passive, Sharpshooter Protocol. It just sounds cool. Taking no damage for 5 seconds grants the following effects: damage to enemy plus 10%, move speed plus another 10%. Not another, but you know, they don't stack on top of each other. It's just 10 on and 10 on each. But that's pretty slick. So if you're in lane and you just pewing, and I'll explain that in a second. And you're just dropping down minions, and then someone comes in your lane, it's like, hey bro, what's up? You already got the damage boost right there, my friend. You didn't even do anything except exist. Good for you. Alright, now I'm not gonna get into the Q, W, E, R, or A just yet, because as always I like to show the standard attack. And if you hold down S, he does a 3-shot burst. Now if you remember on my other one of my other hyper tutorials, I cannot remember which one, shame on me, but I stated that most hyper standard attack is a combo of 3 hits. Even this burst right here is 3. 1 2 3 1 2 3. Anywho, so what's so important about his particular standard attack as a striker? Alright, so check it out. Normally if you hold your standard attack and you move forward, you go forward. That's not new there. That's not new. However, with Signal, when you hold your standard attack and you hold back, your body be slide. You be moonwalking across the stage. You see what I'm saying? That is actually really good for him. The reason being is because he can in and out. He can bob and weave. And when you get into those one-on-ones or even with those group fights, you need to just get in there. You can get your hits off and then back up. Get your hits off and back up. What that does is it puts you in range for your strikes and then takes you out of the range for theirs. Unless they have, you know, the assault rifle or something to increase their range, or they just have more range than you naturally. But it still helps if you slide back and forth, so on and so forth. Because in that case, if they do outrange you, you can still get your burst in and then move back. Just don't get too greedy with that, because that can end up leading to your death. Alright, so the next thing we're going to look at is his A, Plasma Repeater. It's pretty much how it sounds. He fires a stream of plasma bolts that deals 85% of his regular attack damage, so not his full attack damage. Now if you hold the skill key, you continue firing for 2.3 seconds. Firing consumes 10 mana every 0.5 seconds, and you can move in the direction that you are firing. While firing, unfortunately, your move speed is reduced by 40%, purely because how much damage you're freaking doing, and you are not affected by speed boost effects, unfortunately, and cooldown only affected by unique equipment. So that means no other item that you can build that reduces cooldown will affect the cooldown of this particular skill unless it is the unique that affects this particular skill. I'm going to repeat that. No other cooldown item will affect this skill unless it is the unique that has the cooldown for this skill. Now let's show you what it looks like. So this is holding it down, and again, you can slide back and forth. I know it says you can move in the direction you're facing, but you you can go back and forth, okay? So you can, but it's a lot slower, so the bob and weave isn't really that big on that one. You still can do it, obviously, but this is good for clearing minions, dropping towers, one-on-one fights where they're like, oh yeah, I got you, and then you're like, oh, do you, buddy? Let me whip out the plasma repeater on you, and then you just touch them a little bit, and they die. So I'm gonna do his Q next. Disruptor Beam fires an energy, that's right, energy beam that does 220. Well, your applicable attack damage based on your item build and your level. Enemies marked by target scan take an additional 5% of maximum health as damage. Target scan is your W. We'll get into that in a second. Let's check out what energy beam looks like. He essentially turns his rifle into a sniper rifle. Blood-ow! There it is. You see that? I'm gonna do it one more time. Boom. There we go. One more time. Boom. Want y'all see that? Look at that. Bam. Now there is, just like with Ignitia, I touched on this, so I'm going to start touching on this more. Which skills kind of have longer animations? This one does. Out of all of his skills, that one definitely does. So, okay. That's something to take into consideration. If you're in a situation where you need to do that, don't do it, like, don't face check. And what that means is do not get all up in the grill of the person and shoot. Don't get into melee range. Face checking, I'll actually get into what else that really means on this guide right now, and I'll put in another guide that's more primarily about that type of stuff, tips and tricks. But face checking is if you do not have vision and you go to check an area alone, that is face checking. You are putting your face in that area and potentially it will get ripped off, so be careful of that. Tanks can do it easier. It's still not recommended because if you run into a full team, even if you're a tank at full build, final items, you still might die, and it puts your team to a really bad spot. There are some cases where you need to face check to check like dragon or something like that. And in situations like that, my bro, you just ask your team to come with you. Don't ever try to do that type of stuff alone. But I'll get more into that on a different guide. Anywho, let's look at the W, the target scan. You release a sensor pulse that marks enemy hypers within 7,000 units. That is huge. Now, what does this do? The following effects last for 5 seconds. It decreases their defense by 13, not a percentage, a flat number, 13. And it grants vision to signal. Not your whole team, unfortunately, just you. So if I slide all the freaking way over here, you see that? She was off the screen and it still hit her. That sensor beam still hit. It's freaking nuts. But alright, let's get up here. Now I still have vision on her because of the sensor beam. Now it's gone. Sensor beam's gone, so of course. Now you do have an escape skill, and these two go hand in hand, the W and the Q. Remember, the Disruptor Beam does an additional 5% of maximum health damage if they are, in fact, afflicted with the scan of the target scan. So, you drop your W on them, you put that bad boy on there, and then you just blast them. And, they're taking a lot of damage. Like, what am I supposed to do here? I don't understand. I'm just dying. The thing about Signal that I learned and that was explained to me, and I think that is awesome, is by the time they realize you do a lot of damage, they're dead. Like, your burst just comes out so, I want to say it's awkward, because they try to build around it like they're tanks, of course, and whatnot, and you get some defense penetration, and it just hinders them so much. And they don't know what to do because you can bob and weave, you do have an escape, and you can snipe with your ult from like a ridiculous range. That being said, let's look at your escape, your E, evasive action. Signal dashes backwards. Remember, you're going to go backwards from whichever way you're facing. And leaves a trail of static mines for 4 seconds that do applicable damage based on your item build and your skill, or your level. And this is per second to enemies that touch them. Now, I'm going to show you this because this is also important. Well, this is what the skill looks like in general. I'll show you that, and then I'll show you what I need to show you. So that's what it looks like. It's just laying on the floor shocking people. They walk across it, they get shocked. They're like, oh my god, my feet, they sting. However, here's the important thing. I slide back. It doesn't hinder her. Yes, she's jerking and jiggling everywhere, but it does not hinder her. It does not slow her. She can just keep on running. She's just going to twitch a little bit. So that's something you need to take into consideration. This isn't a slow like one of the mines from Alindis or Michelle. It's just additional damage. Now, that does help you. So there are situations where you don't even need to use it to escape. You dash forward, slide back, hit them with that, and then left them with Q. And they've just been taking damage this whole time. It's pretty insane. There's a lot of little tricks that you can do with Signal, and I will show you that again. So what I'm suggesting is you slide forward, dash back, hit him with that. Oh, no, don't do that. See, that was me messing up. It takes some getting used to. Slide forward, hit that, Q, and then if you want, you can go back into this. Now, with your Q and your standard attack, I do want to get into this because this is something that has messed me up in the past, and I looked completely foolish. I laughed at myself, and at some points, I was mad at myself for doing it. When you're doing your standard attack, if you're holding backwards, do not activate Q because you will fire backwards. It gets a little tricky to kind of deal with that, but what you want to do is stop moving entirely and hold Q. Or if you are wanting to chase after them, Lord, after you go backwards, press forward, then press Q. But whatever direction you are holding at the time, that is where you will fire. In addition, if you're doing this, it's whatever direction you are holding at the time, you will go backwards. So what happened there, you might be wondering, I was going forward, it looked like, but I held back and then did it. So that's a nifty little trick too. Going forward, yeah. Now I'm gonna hold back and then use my E. So that will jut me forward. Now there are also little tricks like if you try to escape and you turn around and then you E so you can get further away. He has a lot of little nifty tricks with his little E, but at the same time it doesn't do an insane amount of damage, but it does do enough damage for people to be like, oh, maybe I should not be messing with him at the moment. Or if you're in a group fight, like a team fight, and that's on the ground, a lot of people don't pay attention to that crap, and they're just like, oh, yeesh. I don't know what killed me, and turns out that's what it was. So let's look at his ultimate real fast, and I'll go into his item build. Alright, so Signal enters sharpshooter mode for 10 seconds, bringing up a sniper scope with the following effects. Ignores 20% of enemy defense. He cannot move, so if you move, it will cancel it. Control scope via directional keys. Max is 4,000 units. Okay. So what I mean by that when I say if you move, because obviously you're not moving if you're using the directional keys. If you try to F out, it will cancel it. Anywho, now he uses 1 bullet per attack to do your applicable damage. He has a max of 3 bullets. Gains 1 bullet every 20 seconds. Using all bullets or pressing the skill key again, exit sharpshooter mode. So if you need to exit real fast, you can just press R. Or if you use all your bullets, it's going to exit automatically. You don't have to press anything. However, the key here, or the thing that you want to make sure of, is that you're taking into consideration how many bullets you have. Now remember, this only shows those you have vision of. I don't have vision of her, so it cuts off right there. You see my vision line? That's it. That's it. Now I can press my standard attack to actually fire. Or, yeah, I think she's about right here. No? Yeah, she was right there. And that took me out because I used all 3 shots. Now, on the same token, remember, your W gives you vision of them. So if you already got that vision and then they get out of there, there you go. And it's wherever, this is also something I'm going to show you. As long as they're inside of that box, they take damage. Even on the little edges there, as you can see. They do not have to be in the center. The center is just something for you to be like, yeah, I'm a sharpshooter. I got it on the bullseye every time. So again, to recap, standard attack, you can slide back and forth. Your A, you can slide back and forth, and these are important. These are actually very important to Signal. So it might seem like, oh yeah, that's just simple. No, it's very important. Your scan, boom, puts it on them. Remember, your Q does additional damage, 5% of max health when you have them scanned, and it does go through. It penetrates. It's a penetrating round. Lol. It hits everybody in the path, including minions, other hypers, so on and so forth. Your E is your escape, basically, but it can be used aggressively. Remember, you know, stuff like that. You can also forward, scan, you know, but people have their own dashes, so you're gonna really want to make sure that you have that set up properly and you don't just will die by doing that. Signal is a squishy hyper. Of course, he is a freaking striker, so remember that when you are playing him, and don't be foolish. So then, let's get into the item. Slaughterer's Greaves. I have used this so much on my hypers, my guys. I have used it on so many tutorials. I don't even want to go into what it does, but I'm going to tell you. You probably read it already. Lifesteal and movement speed, homies. And then it increases defense penetration by 7% of the attack. That is beautiful. So while you're sitting there picking people off and it's frustrating them because you're sliding outside their attack range, guess what? You're healing up. Bionomus. That's fantastic. Now we're going to go into his extended magazine. Look at that extended mag. It's glowing green. It looks fantastic. Looks fabulous. Sliding out of the side. What does it do? Attack plus 10. Defense bypass plus 5. Another attack plus 10. Then we got some crit rate. Always nice. Delicious. And then some more defense bypass. Crit and defense. But here is what I like about it. Plasma repeater enhance. Remember what I said about that? Remember what I was saying about unique items? Well, this is a unique item for Signal. Obviously, if you cannot tell by the picture, this is one of his uniques. This is the only one I have been using. Hong China actually suggests there are a few that you can interchange. Again, he is definitely the guy to go to for more in-depth Signal guides. I'm just kind of giving you all base formula. He is like the man with Signal. Anywho, so it enhances plasma repeater and it reduces the cooldown by 1.5 seconds. So remember, only uniques could reduce the cooldown of this item. And guess what? I got a unique right there. Alright, it's fabulous. Now, what else does it do? Additional mana used during Plasma Repeater is reduced by 50%. And then, Plasma Repeater move speed penalty decreases from 40% to 25%. So that is also fantastic. Then we got High Voltage Stun Gun. Some people might want to, like, you know, hey, why don't you use Lightning Cross? This just gives kind of a better, this just is honestly better for his build and for his skill set. It's attack and crit rate. However, regular attacks gain an additional 15% chance to unleash a shock with the 200 unit radius. Cooldown is 1 second. Enemy move speed is reduced for by 20% by 1 second. It does 134 fixed damage, max of 150 at level 10. So it does decent damage, but you're really getting it more for the slow and that little unit radius of damage. Yes, Lightning Cross is nice, but the slow is pretty fantastic. Anywho, moving on. Defiler's Flail. Not only does this item look cool, and you can think about beating somebody with the flail, if you really think about the hypers getting the items and bringing them to lane, you're just slapping them. But it's max health, attack, lifesteal. The lifesteal is also really fantastic on him, but the max health is good for him because of the Q if you do have the target scan on them. Remember, it does additional 5% of your maximum health. Alright, so attack, max health, and lifesteal, and then attack plus 4 for 3 seconds on hit up to 5 freaking times, my guys. Applies the following effects to enemies for 3 seconds upon hit. Attack minus 3, critical rate minus 1%, and lifesteal minus 2%. So it kind of screws with them, in all honesty. And by the time they get to you, they're already weakened a lot. And then we got Hunter's Claws. Yes, the Claws. So attack, crit rate. When attacking, you reduce their move speed again by 10% for 3 seconds. You are getting so many slows on them that they don't even know what to do. They're just like, oh man, well, fucking, screw me, guy. What am I supposed to do here? He keeps slowing me and chasing me on his hoverboard. And they're dead. Now, the last bit is when the enemy's health is below 50%, you do increase damage to them by 10%. So you're slowing them, you're lowering them, and by the time they even think to go up a ladder, you could probably jump, shoot them, and they die. It's just crazy. It's ridiculousness. Speaking of which, I want to say one more thing about his ultimate after I go over this last item. Slayer's Crossbow. Attack, defense penetration, mana regain, which is helpful for when you're using your skills, obviously. And then you get more attack, mana regain, defense penetration, and crit rate. It applies Hunter's Mark with the following effects for 5 seconds. When attacking enemy hypers at 30% health or less. Shares target site with allies, critical damage taken plus 15%, all health restoration effects negative 20%, and can occur once every 10 seconds. What does that do for Signal? Aside from the critical damage taken increase of 15% and the loss of their health effects, it increases your vision. So if you do not have your target scan off of cooldown and you have this bad boy, you're going to get vision on them and you can just get back and use your ult. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about him because this video is actually kind of longer than I wanted it to be, but I had to do my community shout out because it's very important that I do that. I got to share the love back with the people that share the love to me. Anyway, when you use your ultimate, you cannot look up. You cannot go up or down for that matter. It's just left and right, left and right, left and right. But if they are within the fog, watch the total damage. Try and see if I can remember where she's at. You still can damage them if you can't see them. You can take a blind shot and just shoot. If you hit them and they're low enough, they'll die. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They will just die. Well, anyway, guys, this was my guide on Signal. I got Kane rolling in next, and I have a community shout-out for Kane. And then I do believe I have someone else to do based on a request. I will check the comments again. I appreciate and love all you guys that come out. Get a good yo-ho-ho-ho in your day. Have a great day, morning, noon, or night, whatever it is that you're doing right now, where you are while watching this video. And good luck in ranked. Have a good cup of coffee, tea, milk, water, whatever it is you're drinking, man, to make your day a little bit better. Monolith Brook Shadow, and I'm signing out.